Hey there, and welcome back to another episode, finally, of my Factorio 1.0 tutorial series. I'm Xterminator, and thank you for your patience and your wait. Finally, we are here with episode 30, I believe this is. I have got around to doing it. I do apologize for the long wait. I know a lot of you guys were patiently waiting for this. I have done a fair bit of off-camera work to get us a bit more prepared for what we're going to do today. And what that involves is the rocket silo. We're not going to completely finish the game today, just because of the amount of time it would take to build the rocket and such, but let me walk you through what I have done. I've done quite a bit of defending and such. We've been attacked quite heavily. We are aggroing multiple bases here around the map. I've also set up some concrete production, because we will need concrete for the silo. We also did finish the silo. We finished the rocket silo here. It was about a third of the way done at the end of last episode, I believe, and we just let it finish. I didn't see a huge reason to let it finish on camera. It's just, you know, it's a research we already discussed and talked about, and so it just completed finally. And I have started boxing up some electric engines, which is another component we need for the silo. And then we will, of course, need to start sending over the low density structures, excuse me, for the rocket itself. Now, we are very, very low on steel for these low density structures. They do require 2 per, and as you can see, we are having a very hard time keeping up with steel, getting it down here. It's being split in multiple different directions. Now, once all this catches up, all of the steel we are making should be able to get down there. I've also made some more steel furnaces, 10 in total, so 5 each, which is basically equivalent to adding 5 more furnaces to the line, since steel furnaces are double the stone furnace speed, if you recall. So we could add more of these. It looks like our iron is actually keeping up, so we certainly could add more of those without too much more issue, at least for a little bit. And then let's look at the concrete here. So I set up some stone brick smelting. Now, we did have stone brick smelting elsewhere in the factory, over by the military science and stuff for walls and elsewhere. But I just set some more up here pretty simply. I brought the iron ore down the bus, which was a little bit of a, oh man, it was a little bit of a journey. We came all the way underground through all here, came all the way from here. I just brought another line off this balancer. This is a reason I really like these 4-lane balancers. Someone asked what my favorite balancer was in one of my Ask Xterminator videos, and I said 4 to 4 because, you know, we had 3 lanes going in, 2 coming out. Now we can just easily add a third one here without an issue and tie it in. And then I brought the stone down here, merged it with coal, like so, with our nice side loading technique here. And we've created some concrete, and we have 1,000 concrete. We have 200 in each one of these chests. So if we come over to combat, this is where the rocket silo is located, down here. And it requires a lot of stuff. We may have a shortage of steel. Requires 1,000 concrete. We are being attacked, losing a lot of stuff, so we probably need to go deal with that. I just rebuilt those turrets, by the way, so that's quite frustrating. It requires 1,000 steel. Or sorry, well, it does require 1,000 steel, which we may have a bit of a problem gathering, but we'll try our best, at least for that. It also requires 1,000 concrete, which we did pre-make. And then it also requires 100 pipes, 200 electric engines, which I stockpile at this point, 200 processing units, which hopefully we can scavenge, and that's it for the silo. So the silo itself is fairly expensive. Luckily, it is something where you can kind of slowly stock up the resources beforehand, even before you research it, because you can see what's needed. You know, within the research window. You can, just for anyone who doesn't know, I believe I showed this, but if you go to a research and it unlocks an item, you can just mouse over the item in here, and it'll tell you what goes into it. So before it's even researched, you can see what it's going to need and kind of build up those materials over time beforehand, which is quite nice. Now, obviously, we don't have any ammo here, which will pose a bit of a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and place some laser turrets and hope for the best until I can get some ammo. Seeing if we could scavenge some ammo from one of these turrets, but truthfully, they're all quite low. We are being attacked pretty heavily along here. That one here only has 8 ammo, so Gonna take a little bit from here. This one's probably less likely to get attacked because it's kind of in the back line there. Hopefully those lasers can hold them off. We don't have a huge amount of extra power, so we may actually have a brownout when those fire, but you know, it's probably better than losing the whole train station. So let's go see what we can scavenge here. Now, of course, we are being attacked. I did upgrade the defenses here a bit. I am going to kind of just vacuum up this steel line on my way down to try to collect the steel we need. I really don't know that I'm going to be able to get 1,000 steel at the moment, just because we have such a shortage of it. And I did get moved a little bit there, but we're still doing this. Actually, perfect arrangement, because I'm not picking up all that stone that I don't need right now. You know, there's a bunch of steel backed up on these belts. There's a fair bit, as I slightly misaligned here. Here we go. This is certainly not 1,000. This is maybe, I don't even know, it's 500. It's not even 500 steel, so we are a bit low on that, unfortunately. We do have a lot of stone we can dump into here and some iron ore. So if you have extra iron ore and you're near some concrete, this is a good way to kind of dispense it somewhere. Let's go collect our electric engines. We do have 43 in our inventory, but I did stock up 200, I believe, considering I did my calculations correctly for the amount of slots in the box. Electric engines should stack to 50, which they do. So I'm gonna just grab, how many of these am I gonna grab? About that much. And we'll leave a pile there in case we need it. This guy actually is not, let's see, how does this go? Yeah, this guy is not actually offloading. I think someone probably pointed that out and I missed it, so let's do that. And we have that. Now we could grab steel off of these lines. You know, we are gonna have even more of a shortage if we do that, but it is a possibility. Now somewhere here I did see, this is our steel line. So, you know, like we do have a bunch of steel just sitting here. We really don't need many robo frames. The yellow science there is about to be backed up. Now we actually should be fairly close at this point. We have 650 steel, so we should be somewhat close. There's a little more steel on this belt, not very much of it. I think probably it's time to upgrade our steel setup. The red circuits are, of course, a bit lacking. We're being attacked again, losing some stuff, so they came through here, they killed the radar and a turret. The big biters are definitely doing some damage. So we need about 330 more steel, which we certainly could grab without too much of a problem, actually. There's a few big clumps of steel on this belt flowing down here. But once we do that, we can build the silo, and then we can start loading it with stuff. Now, of course, we don't really have any low density structures due to the obvious steel shortage, but ooh, there's a bunch of steel right here. Okay, so we've hit that point where there's no room in our inventory for anything. Let's go dump off some of our stuff. You can see we are being attacked quite heavily in a lot of these areas. So all this ore, I certainly don't need all this ore. Don't need all this coal either, or the stone even. Now, we do have to be careful about dumping different types of fuel in our furnaces, because that can cause a bit of a clog up with the inserters inserting fuel later on. You know, if they get one kind in their hand and there's a different kind in the furnace, they won't be able to insert, you know, the different kind until it burns up the one that's in there. And now we just need 200 blue circuits, which I think we should be able to find, hopefully. Red circuits are also quite slow. It is probably going to be a matter of letting the factory run. There is luckily certainly 200 blue circuits here, easily. And my inventory is full yet again. I somehow managed to pick up even more stone. I think just in my process of scooping up the belts there. We actually did not really manage to get rid of very much stone in that process, did we? We'll just put some stone and other such things in here. Don't really need the fish or the wood at the moment. In fact, we could probably get rid of this modular armor since we do have a power armor right now. We do need those. Get rid of that. Don't need the sulfur at the moment. Okay, so if we take a look here, we only need 100 more blue circuits, so we're very close. And there we go. We'll pick up the 1,000 concrete, and then we should be in a pretty good position. I am going to run over and grab some ammo, though, because if we do happen to get into a combat situation, I could very easily die by not being prepared. So, and do this. I'm kind of tempted to just, I don't know. That radar seems like it's just causing problems. It is. I've mentioned this before. Radar is a military structure. It's in the military tab. So it will actually be a pretty heavily targeted area that the biters go after. They go after high pollution producers as well as military structures. So that's why radars, you do need to make sure to defend them pretty well, because the biters do kind of gravitate that way. Now, a train is out of fuel somehow. I could have sworn that we had fueled this back here. I suppose I did not. But let's get our silo set up. So we can now build the silo. It's fantastic. We are being attacked a lot here. It looks like the laser is likely not going to be able... Well, actually, it may be able to defend. Luckily, the lasers have quite a bit of health. The spitters do a lot of damage. So let's take our silo that is almost built. It does take a while. It is a 30-second craft speed. And we're going to set up the silo right here. We have more than enough rocket fuel at this stage, I think. We have a decent amount of these rocket control units, although they are fairly low. It's only just this amount here. So we do want to make sure that we do that. There is a rock in the way. I can have the robots place it, though, if I so desire. Do that. Robot, by himself, picks up the silo and drops it down. Easy peasy, just like that. We're gonna put a box here. Again, we don't really have enough for this to be completely necessary. But nonetheless, we will do this. Now, before we actually insert anything into here, I almost just made a huge mistake because I was too busy talking. This is what I was talking about in a previous episode. And then we do need to go deal with that train and defend our base. Productivity modules. We've not actually made this yet, so this is actually something we need to do as well. Productivity modules are extremely important for this silo. So if we click the silo, you can see here we have 3 module slots. This will be the same in machines, like visually. Some machines have different amounts and such, but this is like, if you see these in a machine, these are module slots, and this allows it to take modules. It can take any type of module, but we want to put productivity modules in here. And the reason for that is because making these rocket parts, now this is deceiving. A lot of people will be confused. I was very confused the first time I did this. I know we're being attacked. Is I thought that you just you put in 10 of each of those, you built a rocket part, and you were done. Boom, you had a rocket. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You actually need 100 of these. Each rocket part increases this by 1%. So you need to get to 100%, so you need 100 rocket parts to complete the silo. So you actually need 1,000, right? 100 times 10 of each of those ingredients to complete a rocket. Now, that's quite a lot. However, you can actually reduce that quite significantly by putting productivity modules in. Productivity module 3s preferably. It doesn't have to be, but this will give you the most benefit. Because productivity module 3s, if we look down there near the bottom, it says productivity plus 10%. And what this means then is that each one of these in a building will give you basically 10% free progress towards the item that's being made in there. And they do stack. So the fact that the silo can take 4 of these means that we'll have 40% productivity. Which means, basically, every single time we make one of those rocket parts, we get 40% of another one for free. So we basically get 1.4 rocket parts for the price of 1. Which is really, really powerful. And when you factor that all down, it takes about 715 of each part here of this guy, and then of course this guy. Instead of 1,000 of each, you really only need about 714 or about 715 of each of these with the productivity in there, instead of the 1,000, which is huge. Like, that's a very big difference. It's really important. Now, of course, it is an investment to make these. This will be pretty expensive and a bit of a slow process, unfortunately. However, it will be well worth it. So we need to go fuel this train. Really, we probably should go destroy some bases because we are just being attacked so heavily from almost every angle. But I'm going to hope our defenses hold at least for the end of this episode, so I can do that off camera and work on these productivity modules and such this episode. And this guy is out of fuel. Does he have enough to get back is the real question. The answer would be no. So I'm going to put some in there. I'm going to put some in there. And then we really need to quickly set up some fueling for this train. We should be able to pull it off of one of our existing lines here. So let's go ahead, and we have coal here. We could actually just take it again off of this very handy 4-lane splitter here, unless we have coal up here conveniently, which it seems as if we don't anywhere near there. So what we can do though is just pull this straight off of here. I'm going to underground under the pole. It seems a little bit ridiculous to do this, but hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. We're being attacked, you know, like I said, we're being attacked pretty much all the time from everywhere. This is what happens when you do not defend, or when you don't wall off completely your base. And when you have expansion turned on. So I have expansion turned on because I want this to be a completely vanilla game, and expansion is on by default. In most of my games, I turn it off for exactly the reason that we're facing here. Because with expansion on, you do basically have the biters constantly attacking you because they're expanding inwards towards you all the time. So that does become a problem. Just make sure this is lined up there. Now, sometimes it's little attacks. Sometimes it's, of course, the bigger attacks. But let's work on our modules. So this is a bit of a long, well, I say long chain. It's definitely a chain of a process. Just trying to pick up some odds and ends here. So again, I like to start from the end. I've gone over this before, this concept. I like to start from the end product that we need, and then work our way backwards from there. I'm gonna wait for this to be built so we can just go ahead and stick that in there. Now, luckily, the modules don't require steel. They do require circuits, but so if we look at these modules, this guy needs 5 advanced circuits and 5 processing units, which seems very cheap. It is very cheap in that regard. However, where these start getting expensive is that they require 5 of the previous version, and this is the case for all modules. So this requires 5 of each of those circuits plus 5 of the productivity level 2s. Well, the productivity level 2s also require 5 advanced circuits and 5 processing units. So it's 25 advanced circuits and processing units, just in this, because it's 5 each here times 5 of those modules needed here, plus the 5. So, you know, we're up to like 30 of each. Not super expensive, but then these require 4 of the previous one, which is 5 more. Not blue circuits this time, though. These are actually pretty cheap. We actually are already making these for Purple Science quite conveniently, so that already takes care of one step for us, and so on and so forth. Now, there can be a perfect ratio in terms of like amount of buildings making these. That is a little much to go into, and unless you're like building a mega base where you need a ton of these, I really don't think it's necessary. Like, it is not necessary. I'm gonna tell you right here. Now, we have ratioed things out, so this may seem counterintuitive to what I've been saying, but I think it's completely unnecessary to build a fully perfectly ratioed build for the production of these for rocket silos, or for rocket silo use, purely because, oh man, these guys are just ripping through my defenses here, aren't they? Purely because we only need 4 of these, and the perfect build for these is pretty expansive. But we're going to run over here to the Purple Science area where we're making these modules. because since we already have them made, there's no need to make them a second time. What we can do is we can use our handy dandy filter splitter trick here, and we can move this aside a little bit. It's very nice. You can move these windows, output priority, and we're going to filter it to be level 1 because that's what's here. And it doesn't really matter what side it's on. Basically, we're just saying we only want these coming out. Now, we are being attacked again. Very rudely interrupted here. But I'm going to set up just a couple of these. Let's just set up 2 for now. So we're going to set these up to be level 2s. And again, I know I'm being attacked. We'll deal with that. The belt's no big deal. You guys have made some very funny comments about me seemingly not caring that I'm losing stuff. When it's belts and power pulls, I'm really not that concerned and would rather just focus on what I'm doing. So these are going to require the level 1s, which we have here, and then the advanced circuits and the processing units. Excuse me, there's a few ways we can do this. We could put one of those circuits on this belt. We could also bring them over here, which certainly is an option. We do have the red circuits here already. Now, this is a bit of a problem in the fact that with the blue circuits are actually way down over here, which means we're really almost going to have to run them backwards, which is making me somewhat reconsider this. One option, which just purely for the 4 needed for the silo, I think is viable, is to just pick up the amount of level 1 modules I need, like just pick them up from the belt myself and bring them over and make the level 2 and 3 modules like down here somewhere where we just have the circuits already. And then just dump in by hand the level 1s we need, because, you know, it's not like we need hundreds of them or anything. And I think, I'm going to be honest, I think that's what we're going to do. I had all these grand plans here, but I think this is actually best. Now we can quickly, well, okay, now maybe it's time to go deal with that. Now we can quickly calculate this. So we need 5 of the level 2s, and we need 4 of these, remember. So we need 20 level 2s, and 20 level 2s is going to be 20 times 4, right? So we need basically 80 of the level 1 modules. I have picked up 88, so we are in good shape there. So we already have basically what we need, and I can either just stick them in the machines manually, I can put them in a chest in front of the machine, or put them in a chest that inserts onto the belt. There's many ways we can do it. There's many different options available to us. And I think that's honestly just the easiest, best method. I will say, in regards to these attacks, I am getting very frustrated because with a lot of these, it's literally, you know, it's such a small amount in hindsight, in perspective. It's really only like 3 or 4 spitters or biters that come in, but since they somehow get past the defenses or get the right angle on the defenses, it really just kind of destroys so much of our stuff. This is not small. These attacks right here are actually very sizable. I'm gonna do a few tweaks here. I'm gonna do a little bit of rearrangement for ourselves here. I want this in range of the laser turret. These gun turrets are actually quite good. Their main issue is that they lack range. So if we have the laser turret covering the 2 turrets, I'm actually going to put a 3rd turret, just for even more safety, hopefully. You know, of course, we can take care of this by going and destroying bases. It's likely just right here. But that does take some preparation at this stage of the game. It's not as easy as just waltzing in there and destroying them. And obviously some time as well. So I do want to get these modules at least going, because they will take a while. You know, they're slow. You can see this is a 30-second craft. This is a 60-second craft. It does take a good while to actually craft these, so it is good to just kind of let these go about their business and do their thing. I'm going to grab some batteries here. Allow us to make a laser turret. Are again very low on the steel front, but make another laser turret here. I do want to very heavily protect these module production sections, though. This will be very, very important for us. Okay, so these are going to come down. I think I'm going to make it over here. This is putting over here. I could just move these defenses out, but this is, I think, just generally a bit more of a well-defended area, or more easily defendable. So I'm going to do, let's take a look here. If we do just some very simple ratio calculations, we can see that this is a 60-second craft and this is a 30-second craft, which means that one machine making these can make 2 of these modules in the time it takes to make 1 of these. It's obviously not exact, but if we want to kind of expedite things a little bit, we certainly could do something along these lines, and kind of just do a 2-to-1. Again, this is not a perfect ratio, but this will, you know, expedite things a little bit, just instead of waiting for one machine to try to make all of these just for one. It would work. It would just be fairly slow. So we're going to just take this down here, and then we're going to split. This is going to be a very simple build. Again, we only need 4 of these. It's going to take a little while. You know, I don't need these in like a minute and a half or anything like that. Because, you know, of course, we don't even have the materials fully to build the rocket yet. And what this is going to be is this is going to be the combined red and blue circuits, because luckily both these take these same circuits and the same amount of circuits. So there's really no problem doing something like this. Now, of course, these need to kind of get priority, because obviously without these, we won't be able to make any of these, regardless of how many circuits they have. But I think it should be fine. Okay, so we're just going to kind of bring these down here. Same principle we've been working with the entire series for the most part. I'm going to split this one. We actually have an abundance of blue circuits. This should be absolutely no problem. The red circuits, on the other hand, are going to be a bit more difficult to work with here. In fact, so much so that we're actually going to have to kind of split them off in a different area and do a little bit of unfortunate belt routing here. Now I could just go here. This is not really what you want to do, running like a split off line, like actually down the length of your bus in the bus. Doing something like this, in my opinion, is a bit more preferable. I am going to scoop up all these red circuits though. No use letting them go to waste down there. And I actually had quite a lot in my inventory as well, so I'm going to just put some in there. That should last for a good while. And then do that. It's going to go down there. And these, I think, will only hold a couple anyway, so we can just periodically check on this, make sure that it's doing what it needs to do. And then we just need to stick in the other ones. In fact, I think just so that this is a little, this seems ridiculous. It is a little bit ridiculous, because I could certainly just stick these into the machines directly. Look at that pollution. But the thing is, it's going to be a little tedious to balance out exactly how many go in each, because it would like split half each time the way I do it. So I'm just going to stick these here, at least because in this way, this inserters will just grab the amount they need. It'll be a lot more evenly distributed rather than like 50, 25, 11, and 11, or whatever. Just an example, but yeah, it'll be much more evenly distributed. I'm going to stick those guys in there too. And again, so these are cranking. These, you know, they will take a little while. But this actually should be fairly quick. Maybe quicker than you anticipate. We are going to stick some turrets in here because we do not need this dying on us. That would be a huge waste of resources. We did lose this turret. Almost a second one as well. This is getting fairly dangerous. So this already has 1. It's going to have 2. So you can see this is going to be pretty quick. So we put these in here before we put any ingredients in. Now, in this case, it's not a super big deal. We could actually put these ingredients in. Because without the third ingredient, the low-density structure, it won't actually do anything. So these aren't really being wasted yet. Now, if we put low-density structures in, this would start creating it without the productivity, and we would lose out on that productivity bonus. But without these in here, it's not going to actually consume those resources yet. So there's really not that big of a concern there. So I'll just let that guy sit there. The low-density structures we will have to route down. In fact, I think at this point, the science is not super important. It's almost backed up anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this belt around here. Now, obviously only like 3 of these are working. So this is going to be really slow going unless we upgrade our steel fairly significantly, which we will need to do. But this is certainly better than nothing, of course. You know, it is creating some. They're very slow, but it is better than nothing. Now, again, we need to be careful. We don't want to actually put these into the silo yet. I can certainly run them down here. And even stick boxes here and all that, as long as we don't insert them into the silo quite yet. Not until we have these guys. And we are making one here. This one is nearly ready to make one, so that'll be half of what we need already. These guys are lacking the blue circuits, which I actually have a fair bit of here. And the blue circuits, of course, are lacking due to red circuits, I would imagine. So, again, this is why we don't do it that way, if possible, because it's very unevenly distributed. But this is going to dump in here. We already have one of these almost made, about halfway to our second one there. This will be a third one, and then hopefully enough to make another one. Eventually the blue circuits will make their way down here. Eventually. So there's that there. That should be good to go. We don't really even need this concrete at the moment anymore, but we'll just put it there anyway. And being attacked here. So this is one. This is one. Again, it's very slow. 60 seconds. These aren't even these aren't even a full craft speed. These are 0.75, so it's actually longer than 60 seconds. It's quite a long time. But I believe this is a good stopping point, guys, because at this point it's kind of a waiting game. I think off camera what I'm going to do, I'm going to clear out some bases here. It may involve some deaths and a little bit slow going, so I don't think you guys have to see that. We've done combat a fair bit. I'm going to let these go. I will put them in the silo on camera, if I can remember to do that. And then next episode we'll kick on the silo with everything it needs, stick in the low density structures, and you know, I'll show you how the productivity works. It's a lot easier to kind of explain visually, and you'll see how strong it is. And yeah, I think we need to upgrade steel too. I may do that on camera in the next episode. We'll see. We certainly have the resources for it. We just need to actually make the build, which maybe we'll build it down here. Could be good. But I believe that'll do it, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I do apologize for the quite long wait for this. I kind of just had other videos that were taking priority, and I kind of wanted to figure out what I was doing, going to do in this episode and all that. But I hope that those of you who are waiting enjoyed this, and anyone who's new, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, a like is much appreciated so other people can find this series and video as well. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe to keep up with all the Factorio content I'm putting out and any other content as well. And until next time, guys, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.